Hi, I'm Melissa Taboda. I'm one of the education reporters with the Austin American-Statesman, and I'm joined by Julie Chang, who covers education on the state level in Texas. Julie, the last time that we had a discussion about school finance reform in Texas, the legislature was still in session. They were trying to decide, all the pieces to fit together. And this week, looks like they had this Marquee legislation that would pump, I think, 11.5 is it $billion more, maybe into schools. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yes, Governor Greg Abbott signed into law House Bill 3, which would inject actually a total of $11.5 billion over the next 2 years into the school finance system. And a lot of that actually has to do with the fact that this bill would deliver property tax relief to taxpayers across the state. And as you know, Melissa, schools are funded primarily on property taxes. So if this law is going to cut property taxes, then the state has to come in and make up for that funding. So in total, it spends $11.5 billion over the next 2 years. About $6.5 billion of it goes actually to classrooms and teacher pay, and another $5 billion goes towards property tax relief.
What has been the reaction to this new law?
School districts are pretty excited about it. I mean, there are some concerns about how it's going to shake out, but school districts overall pretty excited about it. This is being cast as the biggest school finance reform package we've seen in probably decades. Lawmakers who have served in the Capitol for ages now have basically said this is the biggest thing we've seen in our career. So this is a huge deal in school districts, as you probably knew too, as covering local school districts are saying, this is going to put money in our coffers. So, I mean, what are you hearing from school districts that you cover?
They seem pretty pleased about this legislation, and for the Austin School District, it looks like their recapture payment, which is the amount of money that property wealthy districts like Austin have to pay to help subsidize districts in low property wealth areas. They'll probably save about $190 million in property tax revenue. It doesn't mean that they get to keep all of that. They will be able to collect less because of the changes in how much that they're able to generate now under the law. But I think that they are somewhere between 85 and 93 million that they're going to net out of this. So it's a huge boost to their coffers, and I think that they are quite pleased with it. All of the school districts, though, are scrambling to finish their budgets and try to figure out the compensation piece for teachers and other employees, because a lot of them have a July 1st fiscal year start. And so I know Austin is trying to get those firm numbers. So a few unknowns, but they generally seem pretty happy with everything.
And I think that that's true in terms of sort of the unknown right now. That's true for probably most school districts across the state, because it seems like most of them tackle their budgets this summer for the following school year. And so they're just now being overloaded with a bunch of information in this huge bill that's hundreds of pages long. I think that most school districts are probably struggling with that. I do just want to go through some of the big changes the bill makes, because it's not all about the money. So as a result of the changes that the bill brings, the state share of education funding will actually increase from 38% to 45%. The base per student funding will increase from $5,140 to $6,160. And the teacher pay portion actually would focus on veteran teachers. I think that the point that lawmakers wanted to drive home was, hey, let's make the teaching profession something that can be revered, and let's show them by paying them more. And so the average compensation increase would be about $4,200, but that also does include like increases to benefits. So it's not actually $4,200 that teachers will be taking home in the form of their salaries. Then additionally, we're talking about the property tax rates. Statewide, the average reduction would be about 8 cents per $100 property valuation in 2020, and then about 13 cents per $100 in 2021 off the tax rate. And that shakes out to be about $390 reduction in your tax bill if you have a home that's valued at $300,000. So expect about a $390 reduction in your tax bill for a home priced at that. And then you'll see that pre-kindergarten now has more funding under this bill. It actually now will be offered on a full day basis instead of a half day basis. Low-income students will be getting more funding. Students with dyslexia will be getting more funding. And this bilingual program called Dual Language will also see some funding increases as well. So there's sweeping changes in this bill.
Yeah, and definitely school districts, do seem happy about it. They are trying to, again, figure out what all of these estimations mean, what the bottom line is going to be for them. You mentioned the compensation piece. I know the Austin School District right now is in negotiations with its teachers union on getting that bottom line. I think the CFO for the Austin School District has hinted that the total compensation would be about 10%, which is what the teachers group had been rallying for all along. In reality, I'm guessing that the percentage will be somewhat less as far as bottom line, what they're going to get in their paychecks. But they just really seem pleased by all of that. And I imagine that other education advocates are pleased by the other aspects of the legislation as well.
Yep, and they are. They really, really are.
Yeah. Well, all right. Is there anything else that you wanted to add regarding the legislation and what's gone on this session?
I mean, I think that this has been a long road, probably years in the making. And so, I mean, I think that a lot of people out there who care about education are going to walk away pretty happy. But I think this is the first step, too. I mean, there's probably still more to be addressed in the education sphere, especially as kids in Texas are the student population is expected to grow in future years. And so I think that this is probably a good starting point for many out there.
Great. Well, thanks for walking us through all of that.
Thank you.